In today's video, we are going to be talking about what I believe might be one of the best pulse rifles in the game. The new Neomuna pulse rifle, Phyllotactic Spiral. There's one. Volt shot. Oh, baby. I'm going to be going through all the perks with you guys, helping you guys figure out what that 5 out of 5 god roll you want to be crafting is, both for PvE and PvP. Yo, what's going on, you guys? This is Mike or Geekermon. Welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. If you have played much Lightfall, you know that this high impact pulse is absolutely disgusting. With the right roll, this thing might be better than the Messenger. But how do you get it? What are the best rolls? And what are some things you should be thinking about when you're crafting this weapon? We are going to be jumping into that and so much more. So don't forget, smack that subscribe button. And let's jump into it. The Phyllotactic Spiral is a high impact, low rate of fire pulse rifle, which means that with the right damage perks, you could be consistently 2-tapping Guardians in the Crucible, or making light work of those yellow health boys in the Nightfall. So as you guys know, in order to craft the Phyllotactic Spiral, you need to get 5 red border weapons to drop. I am currently sitting at only 2 out of 5, but I did learn recently about a method where heroic patrols can be farmed. I might make a video on this soon, but plenty of other YouTubers have covered it. So if you haven't yet, grind out 5 of these bad boys, then you can get started with the crafted version. Lucky for me, one of the rolls Nimbus dropped for me is a 4 out of 5. So I'm not hurting too bad, but I do want to get the crafted version of this gun. Also, this might be the most common roll, or I just got extremely lucky because I got 2 of this exact roll to drop playing through the campaign. All right, so before we jump into perks, what are some considerations you should make when looking at this weapon? The first thing to consider is that the weapon is arc, which means you can pair it with a lot, especially if you have one perk right here, Volt Shot. Reloading this weapon after defeating a target overcharges the weapon for a short period of time, causing it to jolt on the next hit. There are a lot of really cool builds with Jolt. I'm hoping to make some build guides on their synergy soon. Secondly, because it's in the special weapon slot, it means that there is an endless possibility of weapons you could throw in the primary slot. Get creative, see what works for you. I found that this pulse rifle excels at long range, so whether it's PvP or PvE, I'm usually pairing it with something that can help me handle the enemies up close. All right, so now let's talk about the perks that you want to be grinding for. To me, the god roll barrel on this gun is arrowhead break. Now, I would put chambered compensator, corkscrew rifling, and fluted barrel in the A tier, while small bore, polygonal rifling, hammer forged rifling, full bore, and extended barrel are probably all in the B tier. The good thing is all of the barrels feel decent. You just have to be aware of the handling hit that something like full bore will give you. Despite the range, you're going to feel like the weapon is more clunky than it needs to be. All right, when it comes to the magazine, there are 2 that are used more than any other: extended mag and alloy mag. Either you want a big magazine or a fast reloading magazine. The other magazine perk that I always advocate for, because I love the stability that it provides, is ricochet round. Ricochet rounds is going to give you a little bit of range, but a lot of stability. So if you're rocking a low stability barrel, or you're struggling with the recoil direction on the gun, ricochet rounds can elevate that, make the gun a little bit more manageable. Again, it all depends on what you're trying to build towards and what your goals for the weapon are. I personally love ricochet rounds on pulse rifle. The A tier perks are going to be appended mag and armor piercing rounds, and the BC and beyond are going to be high caliber rounds, flared magwell, and light mag. All right, so hopping over to column number 3, the most popular and my favorite perk in this slot right now. Now, when I first read this perk, increase reload range and accuracy when no combatants are in close proximity, I thought, that's not me. I'm an aggressive player. But I realized the range is only 15 meters, which means that especially in PvP, 90% of your fights, this perk is going to be active. And what you get when Keep Away is active is 10 range, 30 reload speed, and a smaller accuracy cone. This makes a good weapon better 90% of the time. And for me, is the only S tier perk for this gun. Now, in my opinion, the second best has got to be Under Over. Deals bonus damage to targets with overshield. Deals a small amount of bonus damage to combatant shield. So in PvE, this means you get a 10% damage buff on all combatant shield, while getting a 20% buff on anyone with an overshield. In PvP, you only get the overshield, which is sometimes nice if you're going against a bubble titan who's always got his overshield proc, but is less practical than something like Keep Away. Now, for the A tier perks, I would put tunnel vision and perfect float. Tunnel vision is great because after getting a kill, reloading gives you increased target acquisition and ADS speed. This is actually one I would use more in PvP than PvE. Perfect float, on the other hand, can be great for PvE because after being in the action for 3 seconds, you get a huge boost to your airborne accuracy. This is nice in PvP, but can be a little bit difficult to proc. For that, we're putting it in the A tier. And then as far as the B tier perks go, we have shot swap, compulsive reloader, and hip fire grip. Now, I will have a call out here. Compulsive reloader can be really good in PvE. Essentially, when you're above half the mag, you get a huge boost to your reload speed. I like this because if I'm slaying out a ton of ads, I don't want to be lugging and reloading my gun the whole time. That's why exotics like the Huckleberry just speak to me. No reloading. But to be honest, in PvP, a lot of times it's going to take more than half the clip to get those kills. So unless you're going 2 bursts, reload, 2 bursts, reload, you might want to shy towards tunnel vision or keep away. Shot swap Scope is great, especially if you're pairing it with a grenade launcher, but I think it's just the least practical of all of these. And then good old hip fire grip. If you like to hip fire, that's your play style, that's your bread and butter, then this perk is for you. Otherwise, I probably want to get one of the others. All right, now we're gonna move over to the column main perks number 2. Number 1 S tier perk right now is Volt Shot. This arc pulse rifle deserves Volt Shot. If you're gonna craft it, you have 2 options in the S tier. Volt Shot, and then below that, you have the consistent legend perk, Kill Clip. That 25% damage buff is ridiculous. It allows the Phyllotactic Spiral to be a consistent 2 burst. So if you're not building for the jolt and you don't want Volt Shot, Kill Clip is always your best option. Below that, in the A tier, we have Head Seeker. After dealing non-headshot damage, you get an increase to your precision multiplier. This is great for pulse rifles because if you aim at their chest, a lot of times you do body damage up to headshot damage and get the kill. The other A tier perk for me, and this is primarily for PvE, is Frenzy. If you're staying in combat consistently, you get a 15% increase to your damage, 100 handling, and 100 reload speed, which carries with you until you're no longer in combat again. This perk is extremely difficult to find value in PvP, but in PvE, especially when you're on ad clear duty, Frenzy can be an excellent perk. The one last A tier is Elemental Capacitor. This one requires a little more build crafting, but based on your subclass, you essentially get a specific passive stat buff. Solar is 50 reload speed, Arc is 50 handling, Void is 20 stability, Stasis is better recoil direction and reduced ADS movement, and Strand is now 20 airborne effectiveness. All right, now moving down to the B tier, great perks, but a little bit less practical. Harmony is sadly one of those perks for this weapon. Unless you have a build where you're following up with the pulse rifle, Harmony is probably not the move for you. I will say there are some instances, Witherhoard for example, where you lead the fight with the grenade launcher and you swap to the pulse to get the cleanup. You just have to be careful if they're out of range of whatever your short range weapon is. You can get in trouble where you're trying to use the Phyllotactic Spiral first and you essentially just negate the entire last column. So for consistency's sake, if your build is not around Harmony, I would probably recommend something else. And last but not least, Gut Shot Straight. While ADS, you increase body shot damage. On the pulse rifle, it's only 10%. 1, you want to be going for headshots, and 2, it's not significant enough to affect the time to kill. Now, the last intrinsic perk for this weapon is the Nanotech Tracer Rockets. When you think of this perk, essentially think about the Quicksilver Storm. While landing hits, you'll essentially send out a homing rocket. These little rockets do 22 damage in PvE, 14 in PvP. They're not a huge game changer, but a nice addition to the gun. Makes it feel a little bit more unique. All right, so now let's take a look at the Masterwork. When looking at the Masterwork for this gun, I personally would do handling last. I think it's important. You don't want to be lugging around a heavy pulse rifle, but what I would say is most important for this gun is reload speed. That's just going to help you stay in the fight, be able to keep consistent damage both in PvE and PvP. Second, I would probably put the range Masterwork, give you that damage at range and give you better aim assist on your pulse. Third, I would probably go stability, especially if you've got a weaker barrel choice and you're trying to make up for some of that stability. The recoil direction on this gun can be a laser beam if you build for it properly. And then last is my Masterwork handling. Bungie giveth and Bungie taketh away. And last but not least for your build, we got the mods. I'm rocking full auto. I tried out the counterbalance and I think it made a little bit of a difference. But to be honest with you, the recoil on this pulse is actually pretty good. Especially in PvE, full auto is more of a quality of life thing for me than anything else. The other great options, depending on your build, would be full auto, backup mag, counterbalance, and of course the major and minor specs. Targeting adjuster is one I advocate for on every weapon if you don't have anything else you want to use. Stickier aim assist, even at a small degree, can be nice. I will say this build I have here, a counterbalance stock puts me at 100 recoil direction. That can be very nice. All right, now last but not least for this build, what shader are you rocking on it? I've got a couple recommendations for you. The new Crucible Horizon shader is an animated red shader. I know you're not supposed to wear red with pink, but this thing looks sick. Like a candy cane. I just want to... Another great shader, the Scarlet Semblance. The red waves actually activate on this gun, which looks so cool. Another fun one I always like to rock on weapons, the Up for Grabs Guardian Game shader. The colors actually changed to the Korea flag, which I think looks sick. Now, if you don't have some of these shaders, you can go back in the vault. The Mars Sunset shader, to me, one of the underrated shaders, and it actually keeps kind of the Neomuna feel. And last but not least, if you're looking for a dark option, solid black on the top, navy on the bottom, the Metro Shift shader makes this gun look so cool. All right, so that is everything you need to know about the Phyllotactic Spiral. Let me know down in the comment section which role you're grinding for. Hope you guys like this style of video. I'm going to try to bring you more of these. So thank you guys for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe. Appreciate you. I will catch you in tomorrow's episode.